breaking news once again, this time in the world of boxing. We were looking forward to an absolutely amazing card, and it was one that I was reviewing today. We just got word that one of the main fights on the card, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker, will now be changed, with Martin Bakole stepping in. Daniel Dubois out due to illness. Unfortunately, he will not be able to defend his world titles against Joseph Parker, and it was one of the standout fights on the card. Very, very disappointing, but Bakole stepping up in short notice, and it's one that should still be a very exciting fight, but a lot of the sting of the card would have been taken out. You're losing a heavyweight title fight. Of course, there's going to be a detriment to the card. We will go through the rest of the card, but this is breaking news. He will not be defending his title. There has been word that he was ill, and within a couple of hours, Turkey has been able to turn it around, getting Bakole to step in. 2 days notice is all that he's going to be given against Joseph Parker, a dangerous Joseph Parker, one who would have been, up for a fight against Dubois, and it's bitterly disappointing for him, but he stood up, he's taken on the challenge, and we will be getting Joseph Parker versus Martin Bakole. Very disappointing to see Dubois fall ill. It seems to be with a virus, and he's not been able to recover. Very disappointing to say the least. However, it will be very interesting to see Parker versus Bakole. Bakole comes with a lot of power. He is dangerous, as you can see in his last fight. He's put himself in a position to succeed. He is the mandatory challenger for the IBF title, and so he's not too far away. This essentially becomes an eliminator. Parker has done all he can do to get to his position, and so, again, you wouldn't have kind of been upset with him if he took a different route and decided, I don't want to fight Bakole, especially with short notice. However, with all the financial incentives I'm sure that would have come from fighting him, it is a decision that you can understand. And so Dubois and Parker now changes it. Again, it was a fight that we were looking forward to. The IBF World Heavyweight Championship being on the line was one that we were very excited to see. These two men are coming in with unbelievable form. The only loss that Dubois had recently experienced was against Usyk, and since then he's gone on an absolute tear and has captured the IBF Championship, beating Anthony Joshua. And we know Joseph Parker's been on a run. We've spoken about it in some of our previous videos. This was a fight that he probably would have come into thinking that this was my night to reclaim a boxing world heavyweight championship, and unfortunately it won't be, but it is still a night that he can put a stamp on how much progress he's made, and it's one that we're going to be very, very excited to watch. The main fight on the card, which we can't forget, is Beterbiev versus Bivol. We got the first one in Saudi Arabia. What a fight it was. Went all 12 rounds. There was some controversy in the winner. I did think that Bivol put up a really good performance, but we get to run it back. We get to run it back. Two absolute warriors who are fighting for all that can be contested with in the light heavyweight division, and it's the best versus the best, essentially. Two men who are as dangerous as they come, and two who get the job done in slightly different variations. We know Artur is normally about the knockouts, taking his opponents out. Kind of rare to see him go the distance, but against Bivol, he was taken to the distance, and that's more of a Bivol kind of fight. Always taking fights, using his defensive boxing where necessary, and showing his quality in each and every fight. Against Canelo, he showed it there. In every fight since, he's continued to show it. Two fighters who go against it in a different way. And when we were looking at the first fight, if you ever said Artur would win by majority decision, you would not have really. And if you said Artur would win by majority decision, it wasn't one that we had kind of in our expectations. It was either Artur by knockout or Bivol by decision. So what we got was unexpected. However, this fight should be very, very heavily contested. There's a tiny bit of bad blood between them from all the face-offs that we've seen. Obviously, the last fight wasn't a clear-cut winner, if I'm being honest with you, and so running it back, we should get a very, very interesting fight. A couple of other fights to call out on what is going to be an absolute amazing card, and I'll be covering all the goings on in the card. One of the other fights lower down the card that I'm really interested in this Buatsi versus Smith. Callum Smith, who's been an absolute British icon in terms of how he's conducted himself, been a world champion. Buatsi is trying to reach new ground and trying to get probably the biggest win of his career. Should be very exciting. Who's going to win it? Both men need this fight. Both men need the win, and it's one that I'm very much looking forward to. Another one, Zhang. I love his fights. absolute entertainer, if I'm being honest with you. He's probably a fight away from challenging for a heavyweight championship. Zhang has a perfect opportunity to put himself back into the title picture with a win against Caballero, who is coming into this fight undefeated. I haven't got the greatest knowledge on Caballero, but Zhang, I've watched a number of his fights. He comes with the power. He starts very, very strong, does tend to fade at the end of fights. Did beat Wilder in one of his most recent fights, and it will be very, very interesting to see how he goes about this fight itself. I'm hoping for an absolute war. That's what you want to see when you see heavyweights bang, and hopefully that's what we get to see. Another fight I'm going to be covering is Stevenson. He was meant to be fighting Schofield. Schofield had to pull out due to illness again, so Dubois is not the only one who's had to pull out. In steps Padley. It's going to be very, very interesting to see Padley come in. He was requested by Turkey himself, and this was based off one of his performances against Mark Chamberlain, and you can see what it actually means to have the rub of Turkey in this modern boxing industry, because he walks into a lightweight championship fight against one of the best fighters today in Shakur Stevenson, and it will be very interesting to see how he goes up against Stevenson. However, I would be remiss in saying that Padley doesn't have a chance. Of course he has a chance. Stevenson's style lends itself to people like Padley coming in short notice and having a chance. Stevenson needs to be on his game. Yes, a change of an opponent, but not a change of strategy. Win dominantly and assert yourself in a position where you can get those bigger fights that have been eluding you as of recently. And so guys, we're in store for an absolutely amazing card in Saudi Arabia once again. The big news, as covered, is Daniel Dubois will be out of the World Championship fight against Joseph Parker. Martin Bakole will be stepping in, and we are still in line for an absolutely amazing card. I'll be covering it with you guys once we reach Saturday. Hopefully you're looking forward to it. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I want to hear what fight you're looking forward to, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.